take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. Everything I do so instinctive and so passionate. Every word I move so descriptive like an adjective. I got a vendetta against people who patented it. Being negative when you should be getting after it. I got facts over tracks, this and that. Spitting slow, spitting fast, I could roast, I could gas. Think I'm okay at last, but I don't know if that can erase all the past and the petty.
Good evening everyone. We warmly welcome to the one-day free international webinar on handling reviewer comments and revision professionally. If you want to become a resource person, a coordinator for a free online faculty development program, we will provide a link in the comment section. If you are interested, please join through that link. We will commence the webinar in a few minutes as some participants are still joining to ensure a smooth and focused session. Please keep your microphones muted during the session. Participants who unmute without prior permission may be removed. Good evening everyone. We warmly welcome to the one-day free international webinar on handling reviewer comments and revision professionally. If you want to become a resource person, a coordinator for a free online faculty development program, we will provide a link in the comment section. If you are interested, please join through that link. We will commence the webinar in a few minutes as some participants are still joining to ensure a smooth and focused session. Please keep your microphones muted during the session. Participants who unmute without prior permission may be removed. Our special thanks to you, Convener Dr. Ravishankar Sir, Co-Convener Srilata Ma'am, Coordinator Krishna Sir, Thank you all for your exceptional effort, contribution, and continued support in planning and executing this session successfully. I am Jahnavi from Skill Activate. Dr. Rahamath ma'am is an assistant professor of English at Sri Ramachandra Institute of Higher Education and Research with over 15 years of teaching experience. She holds MA, BEd, MPhil, PhD, OET, and PG CTE qualifications. She has served in various academic roles, including department editor of the AHS newsletter and organizer of the English Literacy Club. She previously worked at Turkoilu College of Arts and Science and Ponnaya Ramajam Institute of Science and Technology. Dr. Rahmata ma'am has actively contributed to academic and professional development through workshops, webinars, and conferences. She has served as a resource person for international FTPS chaired conferences and organized multiple skill development programs. Her academic contribution include 5 research papers, 1 book publication, 1 book chapter, along with presentation at 20 international conferences. She has also participated in 45 FTBS, 25 workshops, and completed 4 reference programs. She is a member of TAI and other professional associations with expertise in manuscript and editing and English language training. It's over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Am I audible, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am.
Shall I start, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Is the PPT visible, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. So glad you could join us. We have a great session planned for you today on handling reviewer comments professionally. Good afternoon, everyone, and a very warm welcome to today's webinar. My name is Dr. Rahamath. I am absolutely delighted to be here with you today for this special session organized by Skill Activate. Today's topic is one that's very close to my heart, handling reviewer comments and revisions professionally. Now, I want to start by asking you a question, and I would like you to respond in the chat. How many of you have submitted a paper for publication? Rohit Shroya, you have. Anyone? Excellent. I'm seeing one response, yes response. Now, second question, how many of you have received reviewer comments that made your heart sink a little or maybe a lot? I can tell you from personal experience, and I mean this sincerely, every single researcher in the world, including the most successful ones, has felt that exact same way. I certainly have. The feeling when you open the email from the editor and see phrases like major revisions required or read, but those feelings are completely normal, and more importantly, there are professional effective strategies for handling reviewer feedback that will not only get your papers published but will make you a better researcher in the process. That's exactly what we are going to explore together today. Over the next 50 minutes, I'm going to share with you a systematic, practical framework for turning reviewer comments, even harsh ones, into opportunities that strengthen your work. We will look at real examples, discuss specific response templates you can adapt, and I'll share some hard-won lessons from my own experience and from mentoring many researchers through this process. Then we will reserve the last 10 minutes for your questions. I want this to be interactive, so please don't hesitate to use the chat throughout our session. So drop your questions as they come up and I'll address them at the end. Before we dive in, let me mention I'll be sharing some specific templates and strategies today. I encourage you to take notes, screenshot slides if helpful, and most importantly, think about how you can apply these principles to your own work. Okay, so are we ready to begin? Yes? Okay. Can you see the second slide? Could you able to see the second slide?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
So first, let me give you a clear roadmap of where we are headed today. I always like to start with the big picture so you know exactly what to expect. First, we are going to spend a few minutes understanding the peer review process itself. Now, you might think I already know what peer review is, but trust me, there are nuances about how reviewers think, what editors look for, and why certain comments appear that can really transform how you approach revisions. Understanding the why behind the process makes everything else easier. Okay, second, we will dive into analyzing reviewer feedback strategically. This is crucial. Not all comments are created equal, some are absolutely essential to address, others are suggestions you can thoughtfully consider. We will learn how to categorize comments, identify patterns across multiple reviewers, and prioritize your revision work. This strategic approach saves you time and improve your results. Third one, third one is this is where we go get very practical. We will focus on crafting professional responses. I'm going to show you actual templates and examples. We will look at three scenarios: how to accept feedback and document your changes, how to clarify when a reviewer misunderstood something, and how to respectfully disagree when you have solid justification. Okay, so these templates or frameworks you can adapt and use in your own response letter starting immediately. Fourth, we are going to tackle one of the trickiest situations that researchers face: managing conflicting comments. You know what I'm talking about. When reviewer first says add more detail, and reviewer secondly says this is too long. So this happens more often than you might think. Okay, and finally, we will discuss time management strategies for revisions. Most editor give you 30 days. Those some allow longer. We will create a realistic timeline that ensures you do thorough work without feeling overwhelmed or rushing at the last minute. By the end of this session, you are going to have a clear understanding of what reviewers are really looking for, a systematic framework for analyzing any set of reviewer comments, specific language and templates for your response letters, strategies for handling difficult situations, a practical timeline for managing revision work, and most importantly, confident that you can handle whatever feedback comes your way. Okay. So everything I'm sharing today comes from real experience, mine and that of colleagues and mentees I have worked with over the years. So let's jump right in. Okay. So this is why this matters. Let me share some statistics with you that really drive home why mastering this skill is so important. Okay, so first statistic, approximately 68% of manuscripts are rejected on their first submission. Let that sink in for a moment. Nearly 7 out of every 10 papers don't make it past the initial review. Now, I am not sharing this to discourage you, quite the opposite. I am sharing it because understanding that rejection is the norm, not the exception, is actually liberty. When you know that even excellent research often gets rejected initially, you stop taking rejection so personally. Okay, so and here is the important part. Many of these rejections aren't because the researcher itself is fundamentally flawed. Often they are because the manuscript wasn't ready, the positioning within the literature wasn't clear, the method section lacked important details, the writing was not clear enough, or crucially, previous reviewers' concerns were not addressed adequately in an early submission to a different journal. Okay, so I'll give you a real example. I had a paper rejected from journal 1 with some valid methodological concerns. I addressed those concerns, strengthened the paper, and submitted to journal B. Okay, the next journal. So the next journal, the second journal reviewers raised some of the same issues plus a few new ones also. Why? Because I hadn't addressed the original problem thoroughly enough. I had to go through another revision cycle. Had I dealt with some initial concerns more comprehensively the first time, I could have saved months. That's a part of doing revisions right the first time. Okay, so move to second statistic. So the second statistic, most manuscripts go through 3 to 5 revision rounds before acceptance. This is completely normal. Publishing is an interactive, actually it's a very complicated process. The first submission is rarely the final version. Even for experienced researchers, papers go through multiple rounds of review, revision, re-review, sometimes another round of revision. Okay. So what this means is that receiving a reviewer comments isn't a sign of failure. It's a standard part of the process. Your job is not to submit a perfect paper for the first time. Okay, because that's nearly impossible. Your job is to submit the best paper you can, then improve it systematically based on feedback. Every revision round, when done well, makes your paper stronger. So the published version is almost always significantly better than the first submission. So move to the third statistic. This is a critical one. Third statistic is approximately 40% percentage of revisions fail not because of research quality, but because of poorly crafted responses to reviewers. This is one is huge, and it's why we are here today. Okay, so listen carefully. These are papers where the research itself was good enough, the science was solid, but the revision failed because the author either missed addressing key comments, responded defensively or dismissively, didn't clearly communicate what changes were made, provided vague responses without specific details, or simply didn't organize their response professionally. Okay, so this is a statistic that should really get your attention because it represents opportunity. So these failures were preventable. The research was good enough, but the communication wasn't. And that is exactly what we can fix. Communication is a skill, writing professional responses is a learnable technique. Organizing your revision work systematically is something you can master with the right framework. In other words, this 40% represents papers that could have been published if the authors had the skills we are discussing today. That's not about being smarter or doing better research. It's about knowing how to navigate the revision process professionally. So when you look at these three statistics together, okay, so rejection is common. Don't be discouraged by it. Multiple revisions are normal. Expect them and plan for them. But how you handle revisions makes a massive difference, and that's completely within your control. Okay. As to the good news, there are learnable skills. By the end of our session today, you are going to have the tools to being successful 60%, not the unsuccessful 40%. Now that we understand why this matters, let's start with the foundation, understanding how the review process actually works. Okay, so the moving to the next slide, understanding the peer review process. Okay, all right. Let's the peer review process. Many of you have been through this, but I find that really understanding what's happening at each stage changes how you approach revisions. There are five main stages, and I'm going to walk you through each one, explaining not just what happens, but what reviewers and editors are thinking at each stage. This insider perspective will help you anticipate what they are looking for. The first step is submission and editor assessment. When you submit your manuscript, it first lands on the editor desk, well, in their inbox. The editor does what's called a desk review or initial screening. They are asking, does this fit our journal scope? Is the quality high enough to warrant peer review? Does it make a contribution to the field? Here's what many authors don't realize. At top journals, 30 to 50% of submissions are desk rejected at this stage without ever going to reviewers. So if your paper makes it past the editor to reviewers, that's actually the first success. It means the editors saw enough merit to invest reviewer time. If your paper passes this stage, the editor identified 2 to 4 reviewers, experts in your specific topic area who can evaluate the work knowledgeably. The editor usually invites 4 to 6 potential reviewers because some will decline due to conflicts of interest, time constraints, or because it's outside their exact expertise. Okay, moving to the next step, the review period. Reviewers typically have 2 to 4 weeks to complete their evaluation, though in reality it often takes longer. 4 to 6 weeks is not unusual. Okay, some journals give reviewers up to 8 weeks. So, what are reviewers actually doing during this time? They are reading your manuscript carefully, usually 2 to 3 times, checking your methodology for soundness, verifying that your analysis is appropriate, then assessing whether your conclusions are supported by your data, and then evaluating how well you have positioned your work in existing literature, then looking for clarity, logical flow, and writing quality, checking references and citations, and examining figures and tables. Okay, so here's what's important to understand. Most reviewers are not trying to reject your paper, they are trying to help you to improve it. Yes, they will point out problems, but their goal is usually to help you fix those problems. Okay. So, however, reviewers are also gatekeepers for the journal's quality. If they see fundamentals flaws that can't be fixed, they will recommend a rejection. Okay, so if they see potential with significant work, they will recommend major revisions. Okay, if it's close to publication ready, they will suggest minor revisions. And then to move to the next step, third step, the editorial decision. The editor collect all reviewer reports. Usually, you will have 2 to 3 reviewers, sometimes 4. The editor reads all the reviews and makes a decision. Common decision types of accept, minor revision, major revisions, revise and resubmit, reject. Okay, so if you get major revisions or revise and resubmit, that's actually good news. The editor is saying this has potential. Do this work and we will take another look. That's an invitation, not a rejection. Okay, and then moving to the fourth step, your revision period. This is where you come in, and this is what we are focusing on today. You typically have 30 to 60 days depending on the journal and the extent of revisions needed. During this time, you need to carefully read and analyze all reviewer comments, make necessary changes to your manuscript, then write a comprehensive response letter explaining what you did. Ensure everything is formatted correctly, get co-author approval. Okay, so this stage is entirely within your control. The quality of your letter significantly influences what happens. Step 5 is re-review. Once you resubmit, several things can happen. If you had minor revision, the editor might make the final decision without sending it back to reviewers. They will check that you address the concerns adequately. If you had major revision, it usually goes back to at least some of the original reviewers. They will check whether you have adequately addressed their concerns. During re-review, reviewers are specifically checking, did the authors address my comments? Did they make the changes they said they made? Or the new versions, improvements, or my concerns resolved? Okay, so they are not reviewing the entire paper from scratch like the first time. They are focused on verifying that their concerns very addressed. Okay, if you have done your revision work thoroughly and professionally, re-review usually goes smoothly and quickly. If you miss things or responded inadequately, reviewers will raise those concerns again and you will face another round of revisions or rejections. Okay, moving to the next slide. Types of reviewer comments. It's very, is it visible? Types of reviewer comments. Okay, now it's very important thing, because we need to understand about the reviewer comments, so that we understand the process. Let's talk about the types of feedback you will receive. Understanding these categories is essential because it helps you prioritize your revision work and allocate your time appropriately. Okay, so first category, major comments. These are substantive, fundamental issues that affect the validity, interpretation, or significance of your research. Major comments must be addressed, they are not optional. Let me give you some real examples of major comments. The sample size of 20 participants is insufficient for the statistical analysis. Conducted. A power analysis suggests at least 50 participants would be needed. That's major because it questions the statistical validity of your conclusions. Okay, so the author claims X, but the data actually shows Y. This interpretation appears incorrect. So that's major because it's pointing out a fundamental error in your analysis or interpretation. So the methodology doesn't account for specific confounding variable. This is a serious limitation that undermines the findings. So the major comment, it's questioning whether your findings are valid given methodological limitations. Okay, so this is major because it affects how your contribution is understood within the field. Okay, so these should be your absolute top priority. If you have 30 days for revisions, major comments might take 50 to 20 of those days. Don't underestimate the time needed. So the category 2 is minor comments, reviewer comments. So the minor comment are important for quality and clarity, but they don't think about it. There is a grammatical, maybe that there is a grammatical error, should be where, not was. It's a type or grammar issue, or it may be the difficult to read. Please increase font size and improve resolution. Okay, minor comments is it's about presentation quality, not content validity. Do you understand? So the explanation of maybe the paragraph 3 is unclear. Please rephrase for clarity. And maybe the reference 15 is formatted incorrectly according to APA style. Okay, so minor technical formatting issue. Minor comments absolutely must be addressed. Ignoring minor comments sends a terrible message to reviewers. It says, I don't care about details, or I didn't take your feedback seriously. That's not the impression you want to create. So the good news is minor comments are usually quick to address. You can often handle all minor comments in a day or two. They don't require new analysis or substantial new writing, just careful attention to detail. Category 3, suggestions. Suggestions or recommendations that could potentially strengthen your work, but they are not strictly necessary for publication. These are the comments where you have the author might consider including to further explore the relationships. Notice the language might consider that suggestion in language. It would be interesting to discuss how these findings relate. Okay, so the authors may want to cite which has relevant findings may want to again suggestion language. With the suggestions, you have three options. The option one is implement them if you think they genuinely strengthen your paper and you have time and resources. The next option is acknowledge but don't implement if you don't think they are necessary or if they are beyond the scope of your current work. The next option, third option, is partially implement by perhaps mentioning the idea briefly with a full elaboration. Okay. Moving to the next slide. First response, don't react. That might. This slide contains my single most important piece of advice for the entire session. If you remember nothing else from today, please remember this. When you first receive reviewer comments, do not react immediately. I mean this seriously. Do not open your manuscript. Do not start making changes. Don't draft your response letter. Don't email your co-authors with your frustrations. Take 24 to 48 hours before you do anything active with those comments. Okay, so let me tell you why this is so critical. I'm going to be honest with you about the emotional reality of receiving reviews. When you first read reviewer comments, especially critical ones, your emotional response will likely include some combination of defensiveness. But I already explained that. Frustration. They obviously didn't read carefully. Self-doubt, anger, disappointment. So these are completely normal human reactions. You have poured months, maybe years of work into this research. It's your intellectual baby. Your intellectual baby. So when someone criticizes it, it feels personal. But here is the problem. If you respond to reviews while you are in that emotional state, you will sound defensive in your response letter, or miss the valid points buried in criticism, or make poor decisions about how to revise, or potentially write responses you will deeply regret or damage your relationship with that journal and those reviewers. Let me tell you about a mistake I made early in my career that taught me this lesson the hard way. I submitted a paper I was really proud of. When I submitted my paper, got the reviews back. One reviewer was particularly harsh, used phrases like fundamentally flawed and naive interpretation. I was furious. I immediately drafted a response letter. My co-author fortunately talked me down and convinced me to wait 48 hours before sending it. When I reread my draft response 2 days later, I was mortified. It was defensive, borderline rude, and would have permanently damaged my relationship with the journal. Worse, when I reread the reviewer's comments with my fresh eyes, I realized they were actually right about several points. My immediate emotional reaction had blinded me to valid criticism. I rewrote the response completely, addressed the concerns professionally, and the paper was eventually accepted. But if I had sent that first draft, likely rejection and disavowal. So here's what you should do instead. Day one, read and process. First, print out the reviewer comments if possible. Read through all comments completely without judgment or without planning responses. Just observe the information, then close your laptop and walk away. Okay, and the day one evening, let your subconscious process the feedback. Don't actively work on it, but let it percolate in your mind. Maybe talk to supportive colleague or mentor, but not to vent, just to process. Okay, day two, fresh perspective. Read the comments again with fresh eyes. You will notice things you missed in your first emotional reading. You will see valid points you initially dismissed. You will have better insight into what reviewers are really asking for. Okay, and day two or three, strategic planning you will make. Now, the one and only start your strategic analysis. Only now you have to start. Categorize comments. Plan your revision approach. This 48 hours waiting period transformed the experience. What felt like an attack on day 1 looked like constructive feedback on day 3. Okay, so during that first 48 hours, do that work. Not that work, you can do your work, other work. Teach, work on different research or handle administrative tasks, anything. Exercise, talk to trusted colleagues, or remember previous times you have successfully navigated revisions, or remind yourself that every successful researcher has been exactly where you are. But do not email the editor complaining about unfair reviews, post on social media about harsh reviews. Immediately tell your co-author or author the paper is doomed. Start making random changes to your manuscript. Draft any part of your responsibility. Okay, do you understand? So just don't let that emotional response drive your professional actions. Once you have taken that emotional break and can approach the feedback with fresh eyes, then it's time to analyze that comment strategically, that what we are going to discuss. So moving on to the next one, analyzing comments strategically. Okay, see the slide. How analyze the comments strategically. Now we are getting into the practical work. You have read the comments, you have taken your emotional break, and you are ready to begin your revision systematically. This is where organization and strategy make all the difference. The first step, categorize every single comment. The first thing you are going to do is create a document. I use a spreadsheet, but you could use a word table where you list every comment systematically. Your column should be reviewer number, comment number, category, the actual comment, your planned response status. Okay. So step 2, prioritize major issues first. Now that you have categorized everything, you can see your major comments at a glance. These are your top priority. Okay. Don't just address comments in the order they appear in the review. Work strategically. If a methodology comment affects your results section, address the methodology first, then update results accordingly. Step 3, identify patterns across reviewers. This is crucial and often overlooked. Okay, ask yourself, did both reviewer 1 and reviewer 2 mention that the introduction lacks context? That's a pattern. Okay, did different reviewers use different words to describe the same underlying concern? Okay, so you have to analyze these sections. And then moving to the step 4, check validity and each comment. This step is important but require honesty and emotional maturity. For each comment, you need to ask, is this criticism valid? Go through each comment and evaluate. Is it factually correct? Did I actually address this already? Is the criticism scientifically valid? Am I being defensive or this genuinely incorrect? Okay, moving to the step 5, plan your response strategy. For each comment, you need to decide, what am I going to do about this? Okay, so in your spreadsheet, write down which option you are choosing for each comment and make notes about how you will execute it. This becomes your revision or roadmap. Okay, so this strategic analysis might take 1 to 2 full days of focused work, but it's timely, incredibly well spent, because you won't miss anything, you will work efficiently, you will avoid duplicated effort, you will have a clear plan that reduces anxiety. Okay, once you have your strategic plan where we are headed next, learning how to structure and write a professional response that make the reviewers and editors happy. See the response template, reviewer comment. The methodology section lacks detail about sample sections. So if you receive this reviewer comment, please check your responses, sample responses. Thank you for this valuable observation. We agree and have expanded the methodology section. You may mention the page numbers also, okay? And moving to the next template also. I'll show the next template also. If the reviewer commenters, the authors didn't discuss limitations of the study, You may draft your letter with your response. We appreciate the reviewer's concern. We hope this addresses reviewers' concern. See the other template also. Analysis should use method X instead of method Y. They may point out our methodology. Definitely no. So see the responses. Okay. Sorry. Have you got some idea about the templates, participants? Yes? Are you accepting the feedback? Okay. Wait. I'll move the managing. These are all the templates just for your, sorry. Is my PPT visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Audience?
Yes, ma'am.
Excuse me, audience. My PPT is visible.
Yes, ma'am.
Which slide you can see? I didn't get any. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Is it audible, ma'am?
Okay. So moving to the time management, let's talk about practical time management for revisions. Most editors give you 30 days to complete revisions. Though for major revisions, you might get 45 or even 60 days. So we are going to work with the standard 30-day timeline. Here's as a situation most researchers face, you get reviewer comments. You have your regular job teaching, other research projects, administrative duties. You can't just drop everything for a month. But you also can't leave revision until the last minute. You need a realistic strategic timeline that allow you to do thorough work while managing other responsibilities, because time management is very very important for the research work, all the research work. So this timeline I am about to share is not just theoretical, it's just about practically you need to follow it. Let me take you today by a day through this 30-day process. The first 2 days, read and digest. We have already discussed this, your emotional cooling off period. So read all comments thoroughly, don't start working yet, just process the feedback after getting your reviewer comments. Okay, so if you are teaching or have other commitments, that's fine. These days aren't about intensive work, they are about letting this things settle. Okay, so and then 3 to 5 days strategic planning. Now you start actual work, but it's planning work, not revision work. Okay, so day 3, create your spreadsheet categorizing all comments, major, minor, or if you receive any suggestions. Okay, so day 4, identify patterns, assess validity, decide on response strategy. Okay, because this is not busy work, it's a thoughtful planning. So prevents wasted effort. You have to prevent and identify which major comments need a longest time. Help you identify if you need co-author input or external consultation. Create a roadmap so you are not constantly figuring out what to do next. Okay, so another 6 to 20 days you have to core revision work. This is your main work period, 2 full weeks. Here's how to structure it. You have to focus exclusively on major comments. These require new analysis, substantial rewriting, additional literature review, methodological additions. So work on the most time consuming major comments first. If something require running new statistical analysis, do that yearly. If you need data, you focused hours per day on major revisions. That's 40 to 21 hours in week 1, which should be enough for most major comments if you work efficiently. So can't find 2 to 3 hours daily, wake up an hour earlier and work before other responsibilities start, or block out 1 full weekend in. Okay, so days 13 to 16, finish any remaining major comments. Days 17 to 19, address all minor comment day. 20th day, review suggestions and implement what's feasible. You do major comments first because they often have ripple effects. If you change your methodology, you might need to update your results, discussion, and conclusion. So do those foundational changes first, then polish the details. Day 21 to 25, draft response letter. Many authors underestimate how long the response letter takes. It's time consuming because you need to find the exact page and line numbers for every change. You need to write clear professional explanations. You need to quote or describe your changes. You need to verify you didn't miss anything. So plan to spend day 21 draft responses to reviewer 1 to day 22. Draft responses to reviewer 2. Review, edit, check for completeness. And then the next day 24, add page or line numbers and verify accuracy. And then the last day, and then the day 25, final read through for tone and professionalism. What's the last 5 days? This might seem like a lot, but a comprehensive response letter for major revisions can easily be 10 to 15 pages. So rushing, this is a mistake. Rushing, this is a mistake. Your response letter is as important as your revised manuscript. Okay. So days 26 to 28, co-author review. Never submit without co-author review. Send them your revised manuscript, your response letter, a summary of major changes. Give them 2 to 3 days to review and provide feedback. Request that they check, did we miss addressing any comments? Okay. or date 27 to 28. Incorporate their suggestion and make the final adjustments. And day 29, final quality check. This is your comprehensive final review. Check, I say the checklist or manuscript formatting matches journal requirement. All references cited in text area in reference list and vice versa. All figures are high quality and properly numbered or labeled. All tables are formatted correctly. Response letter is complete and professional. Page and line numbers in response letter are accurate. Files are named according to journal requirements. You have all necessary documents, manuscript, response letter, figures, supplementary materials, all the things, all necessary documents. Okay. So this careful final check catches errors that would otherwise require another revision round. It's worth the time investment. Okay, so the final day 30 submit. Submit at least a few hours before the deadline, preferably in the morning. Okay. Why not submit at the last time? It has 3 reasons. The first one is technical problem happened. Maybe the websites crash or upload issues. And the second issue is you might realize you forgot something and need time to fix it. And third one is last minute rushing causes errors. So if possible, submit by noon on day 30. That give you the entire text. If you genuinely need more time, contact the editor before the deadline. Okay, don't wait for the last minute. So as for extension, if major comments require data collection that takes longer than expected, you have been ill or had family emergency, or co-author need more time due to their schedules, or analysis are taking longer than anticipated for valid reasons. Okay. And then email your editor. You have to carefully draft the email. Okay. Carefully done, and you don't miss the deadline and then ask for the extension. Ask for the extension because you request vague or very long extensions. Okay. So keep the initial reading and planning period the same, maintain the same final quality check process. So set intermediate deadline for yourself before the final deadline. This prevents last minute panic. Okay. So work smart, work thoroughly, work strategically. Okay, can we move the final checklist? You have to get the idea about the final checklist before resubmission, because it's very, very essential to get your attention about it. All right. We are approaching the end of your revision process. You have done all this work before you submit. I want you to go through this final quality checklist. I actually print this checklist out and physically check off each item for every paper I submit. It has saved me from embarrassing mistakes more times than I can count. So this final check should take 2 to 4 hours of focused attention. Yes, us. It's worth it. Let's go through each item, every comment addressed in response letter. Go back to your original review documents. Read through every single comment from every reviewer. Check that you have a response to each one in your letter. Okay, so I recommend print the original reviews. As you read your reference or response letter, check off each comment on the printed reviews. If you find any comment without a check mark, you missed it. Missing even one comment is a red flag to reviewers and editors. It suggests carelessness. All changes tracked with page or line numbers. Is the page number correct? Is the line number correct? Is the described change actually in the manuscript? So authors often write their response letter, then continue editing the manuscript with changes page number. Always verify page line numbers after your manuscript is completely final. Open your response letter and revise manuscript side by side for each location you cite. Actually go to that page and line and confirm the changes there. So response letter is polite and professional. Read your entire response letter one more time, focusing only on tone. Flag any language that sounds defensive, clearly, obviously, as already stated. Okay, dismissive. This comment misunderstand. arrogant. We are confident our approach is superior. So soften any flagged language. For example, this misunderstand, we would like to clarify about it, more appropriate for our specific data. So actually read your response letter out loud. You will hear tone problem you might not see when you're reading silently. Okay. So manuscript follow journal formatting guidelines. Go to the journal author instruction page and check line spacing, margins typically 1 inch all sides. Font often Times New Roman 12 point. Heading style, some journals have specific requirements. Figure and table formatting, each journal has preferences. Line numbers, more journals require these for review. So formatting errors signal that you didn't read the guidelines. It creates a negative impression before reviewers even start reading content. So all references updated and formatted correctly. Check that every in-text citation has a corresponding reference list entry. Every reference list entry is cited in the text. Okay. All references follow the journal citation site exactly, APA, MLA. Okay. So, and DOIs are included wherever were available. Okay. All authors' names, dates, title, journals are correct. EndNote, Zotero, or Mendeley help with this. So, but even with software check manually, errors happen. You can use any tools, but you have to check manually to avoid the errors. Watch for missing author names, incorrect dates, incomplete journal information, or formatting inconsistencies. Okay. So for each figure and table, check resolution, verify all access labels are readable and clearable. Could a reader understand the figure or table without reading the main text? That's a standard for captions. Cover letter highlight major improvements. Okay, so you need a brief cover letter to the editor, separate from your response letter to reviewers. Your cover letter should thank the editor for the opportunity to revise. Briefly mention 2 to 3 major improvements you made. Express confidence the paper is now significantly strengthened. Keep it to 1 page. So we have substantially expanded the methodology section, added sensitivity analysis, demonstrating robustness of findings, and restructure the discussion to more clearly highlight practical implications. We believe these revisions have resulted in a much stronger manuscript. Co-authors have approved final version. So do not submit without all co-authors seeing and approving. The final revised manuscript, the response letter, and supplementary materials. Okay. Email with you have to CC or email all co-authors attached is the final revised manuscript and response letter for a paper title. Okay. So please review and confirm your approval by specific date, at least 48 hours before submission. Okay. If I don't hear concerns by the date, I will proceed with submission. Okay. So all authors are responsible for the content. Everyone needs to approve what's submitted under their name. So file name according to journal requirements. Many journals have a specific file naming conventions, manuscript ID, a revised manuscript document, that's the thing, or a response letter or figure, anything else. You have to mention, you have to make the folder, you have to give the word name correctly. Look at the journal's resubmission instructions before you submit. Okay. So they usually specify exact naming conventions. So correct the file naming, help editorial staff process your submission efficiently. Wrong naming can cause confusion or delay. Uploaded to correct submission portal. Okay, this sounds obvious, but mistake happen. Are you uploading to the correct journal system? Are you using the revised manuscript function, not new submission? It's not a new submission, no, it's a revised manuscript. Have you uploaded all required files? Required files means manuscript, responses, letter, figures, supplementary materials. Did you complete all required fields in the submission form? Some authors accidentally start a new submission instead of revising the existing one. This creates confusion and waste time, simply waste time. Okay, so after you submit, download the confirmation email, save a copy of your submission PDF if the system provide one, save copies of all files you submitted in a clearly labeled folder. If questions arise later, you need to know exactly what you submitted. So the 24, you can wait 24 hours before actually submitted. In that 24, you usually think of one more thing to check, one more improvement to make, one more error you want to catch. So the next day, you do one more quick review, skim the manuscript for obvious error, reread the response letter, introduction and conclusion, check file names one more time, then submit. This is quality control. One more day won't make a difference to your publication timeline, but catching a mistake absolutely can. This 10 item checklist might seem tedious, but going through it systematically takes only a few hours and can prevent problems that would cost you months. Approach this checklist like a pilot going through pre-flight checks. Every item matters. Check them all every time. Okay. So we have covered a lot of ground today. Let me consolidate everything into 6 core principles. These are the fundamental best practices that should guide every revision you do. Okay. So be grateful. Always think reviewers sincerely. Mold your research work. Thank them in your opinion. Opening paragraph or give your opinion clearly. Okay. Be thorough. Address every single comment without exception. Be clear. Respect for reviewers. Attention to detail. You have to commitment to quality. Professional maturity. Okay. So never write vague responses like we revise the section. Professional language should be used. We appreciate. We would like to clarify. We respectfully maintain. Or thank you for helping to improve. Okay. Please avoid unprofessional language includes clearly, obviously. Okay, so be honest, never claim to have made changes. You didn't make. Be timely. Okay, honesty about limitation is acceptable. Dishonesty about what you did is not. So aim to submit at least 12 to 24 hours before the deadline. And a technical problem happen, you avoid to submit last minute rushing. And be timely. Time management is very, very important. If you consistently apply these 6 principles, you will get papers published more reliably, build a positive reputation, make the revision process less stressful, develop professional relationship with editors and reviewers. Now let me distill everything we have covered into 7 final key takeaways you should remember. Okay. Key takeaways, yeah. As we approach the end of our session, I want to 7 key takeaways. These are the most important insights from everything we have discussed. Participant, please mute your mic.
ಕೇಳಿಸ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ ಏನು ಇಲ್ಲ ಏನ್ ಓಪನ್ ಆಗಿದ್ದಿದ್ದು
Okay, I want to close with one final thought. Learning to handle reviewer feedback well as not just about getting papers published. Though that's certainly important, it's about developing as a professional researcher. So the skills we have discussed today: strategic thinking, clear communication, emotional regulation, systematic work, professional collaboration. These are career skills that will serve you for decades. Okay, so every tough review you navigate successfully makes you stronger. Every comprehensive revision you complete makes you better. Every professional responses you have to get, you will get papers rejected sometimes even after good revisions. That part of the process. Okay, so but if you apply what you have covered today, publish more successfully, develop greater confidence in your abilities. I encourage you to take what you have learned today and apply it to your next revision. Try this framework, use these templates, follow this timeline. Okay, so how it works for you, adapt it to your needs, make it your own. Now I would love to hear from you. What questions do you have? What specific situations would you like to discuss?
Ma'am, can you please share key takeaways slide, ma'am?
Sir, which one?
Key takeaways.
Key takeaways.
Yeah.
One minute.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for explaining about some topics like managing conflict comments, time management for revision.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Audience, please take these helpful resources.
Ma'am, am I audible to you? Hello, ma'am. Good afternoon. Am I audible to you? Ma'am, am I audible to you? Ma'am,
Yes, ma'am.
am I audible to you, ma'am?
Yes, audible.
Good afternoon, ma'am. I recently cracked JRF and GATE. I am yet to sit for interview for PhD enrollment. Do the interviewers expect the experience of published papers already, or do I need to publish papers after I get enrolled in PhD?
Actually, your voice is breaking. Please repeat your question.
I can type in the question, ma'am.
Chat box.
Yes.
Kritika. What's your name? Your name is Kritika. Kritika. Can you repeat your question? I can't find it. Kritika's question. Can you please ask your question orally? I can't get your question.
Yes, ma'am. I was typing the
Because
question.
of
Since my voice is breaking, should I type? I'm typing the question, ma'am.
Yeah? Typing the question, okay. Any other question? You can call to the editor. You can't call the editor, you just mail it. Okay. Soumya has asked the question. We can call to the editor. It not permit supposed to call to the editor. You may send the polite form a letter to the editor. Okay. How to avoid desk rejections? I actually told that you have to avoid the rejection to send them the review immediately. Take some time, review your research paper, review your paper step by step, and then you have to resubmit the research paper to avoid the rejections. Okay. I recently cracked German. I am yet to be interviewed for PhD.
Before we conclude, we would like to thank our sponsor JVK Technologies. JVK Technologies offer a publication service including Scopus, SCA, patent, copyright, thesis and textbooks, etc. For any publication assistance, we are warmly invited to join their WhatsApp group. Link is in the chat box as well as comment section. We also thank all the participants for joining us today. Please fill the feedback form for the certificates. Those who fill the feedback only will get the certificates. Please fill the feedback form for the certificates. Those who fill the feedback only will get the certificates. To receive the certificates, you must fill out the feedback form and join the WhatsApp group. Those who fill the feedback form can leave the meeting.